Hi, welcome back to Living on Purpose. I'm Dr. Allison Brumley, and today we're going to be talking about how to have healthy lifestyle changes and how to make those change. I'm here with Karen Cox, who's a board-certified health and wellness coach, and so she's been talking to people who find it difficult to make change. I mean, that is your profession, is helping people make change. So in talking about this, we really want to just establish, why is it so difficult for people to make changes?
I think it's we get stuck in what's common and what feels comfortable. And so to make some of those lifestyle changes, which are hard, and I think that's where people kind of put on the brakes and become a little bit resistant to the things that need to take place for transformation that we really encourage people to make. And so one of the things that I help teach is that our brains are moldable. The scientific term is neuroplasticity, but it just means that our brains can change. They've found with even people who've had a stroke, that many times they can relearn those things to get their memory back, get things like how to tie your shoes back and those types of things. And so I've been thinking about this. I had a grandson over the holidays with me, and he was learning to tie his shoes. And, you know, you have to go back to that basic of, okay, make the loop. I had to rethink, how do I tie my shoes and take it step by step? But that's how the brain rewires itself. It's like, okay, I'm going to start small, make a little bit of a change, learn how to make that loop, and then pretty soon we're just doing it automatically, like we don't even think about it. And so habits have to start small.
Yeah, I'll see that. And with that neuroplasticity, the first book I ever read on that was called The Brain That Changes Itself. And there were some extraordinary stories, like someone with a stroke who had to relearn everything, and it was absolutely possible to do that. But we do resist change, and there are multiple reasons for that. One is that the habits you've already created now are easy, you know, and so that's really what you were just pointing out. It's so automatic because you've done it for so long, you just don't even have to think about it. And so making those changes is work. You have to, you know, rethink of things so it can take longer. It doesn't just feel like it comes naturally. And one of the things that really can prevent people from making change is there are so many options. So it's almost like this decision fatigue. You know, you look at, say diets, you know, and I don't even really like the word diet. I use the term just nutrition more than anything, because that diet has that negative connotation of restriction, whether you're talking about calories or carbs or whatever it is. And we don't really want to talk about restriction other than, you know, healthy, unhealthy, and that can be different for different people. So they say, should I do the keto diet? Should I do the carnivore diet? Should I do the paleo diet? Should I do? And I've already mentioned my favorite's the Mediterranean because it's the least restrictive.
There's so many options. And so really when thinking about making those incremental changes to say, okay, I want to start incorporating more fruits and vegetables into my diet. Start small. Start with like one thing that you're going to add, because the more we add in that's good, then it's easier to let go of the things that we shouldn't be having.
Yep, less room for those. Yeah, I like that. And everybody might be a little different based on what their health concerns are. You know, we're really focused on hormones. And so really thinking about eating for hormones, you need healthy fats, but do you need to be on a keto? Not necessarily. But you do need healthy fats. That feeds that biochemical pathway of making hormones, because hormones are made out of cholesterol. You know, you need that fatty acid, the making of your cholesterol to make hormones.
And one of the things that I help people with is trying to see the big picture. So maybe if they come and see you, or they've talked to their healthcare provider about some of the things they need to do to balance their hormones when it comes to their diet, I often have them look at the big picture. Like, why do I really want my hormones balanced? Will I be more effective in my life? Maybe my career, I can have more brain power to make the things happen I want to have happen. Maybe I'll be able to balance my work-family life better if I can get my hormones balanced. So looking at the big picture and then work backwards. Break it down, and what can I start with today?
Yeah. I think that's great. I mean, I've mentioned to people before that you make one change a month, which seems slow, but over the year, 12 changes, it could be do 1 month, you get a water filter and you make sure you're drinking your 8-ounce glasses of water, that you're drinking enough, but the water's clean. So that would be one change, whether you get a Berkey or even just one of the pitchers. There are some that are better than others of those filters, but just doing something like that. The next month, it could be if you don't really eat very many vegetables, you go to the grocery store and maybe you buy 3 vegetables for that week, and then that you go through that. That is made for a meal, and then the next week you buy 3 different kinds of vegetables. And so sometimes, with people can be picky eaters and have certain preferences, and you can work around that to a certain extent, but it's just starting small with, I've never tried this vegetable. I'm going to take it home and try it, see if I like it.
Yeah, making those little changes. Another one is sleep. Maybe 1 month you're going to work on your sleep, getting to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time, getting that circadian rhythm in balance. One thing that often helps a lot of people is the Mel Robbins approach of I'm going to, instead of hitting the snooze button in the morning, I'm going to count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to get out of bed. Hitting that snooze button can be a habit. And so to break that habit, to create that new pathway in the brain is don't reach for the snooze button, but to count backwards, get up. I often tell people, get up and make your bed. That's like something, 1, you won't get back in bed, and 2, you're productive. You've got something done right off the bat.
Yeah, I like that. One of the techniques I will use and mention is that habits are much easier to form if you tie it to something else. If you think, all right, every night before bed, I'm going to do my breathing exercises, or I'm going to gargle, because gargling can be really helpful for the vagus nerve and that parasympathetic nervous system. And if you can tie it in your mind that, after every time after I brush my teeth, I'm going to gargle water, or every time after I brush my teeth, I'm going to do my breathing exercises. So if you tie it together, sometimes the brain will remember that better.
Like that habit stacking, and get more than one habit in at a time, but it combines, and they both play on each other.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah. I just really try to have my patients, my people, not feel overwhelmed. So that's where that, starting somewhere. And then once you've got that mastered, then you go to the next. So it's not like you have to throw everything out of your kitchen pantry. It's like, I shouldn't be eating this. I shouldn't be eating that. I don't like that kind of talk, but it's more about I shoulds, I am, even energetically, don't you think?
Yeah,
even
just those
energetically,
statements.
if you have those statements in your mind of I'm a healthy eater, or I'm I'm really good at making my bed. I'm really good at getting up in the morning and making my bed. So even having those thoughts, you can change the resonance or the energy of the body and become that, even if at first you feel like you're faking it. There's a lot to the saying of fake it till you make it.
To kind of help rewire the brain,
Absolutely.
even the thinking.
Absolutely.
Another thing that I find helpful is making a ritual out of something in the beginning that you're trying to create in your life that's new. And ritualizing just means making it special, making it something that you look forward to. So oftentimes I encourage people to, meditate or journal or even prayer in the morning to start their day. But it's hard for people to start that because we want to just get busy. And I encourage people to kind of ease into their day instead of start their day running. Mm-hmm. And so to make that special, I say, get your favorite blanket, curl up in a chair with your journal, or have something warm to drink, or light a candle. Something that makes it that you look forward to doing, then you'll stick to it more because it's like I've made this little ritual for myself that feels fun.
Yeah, yeah. I think the same thing even if we move on to like exercise. If you don't like your exercise, it's keep trying till you find something you do like. And more often than not, and even if somebody gets off the wagon of, their exercise routines, you get back into it. And then the thought process is more like, how come I haven't been doing this? I feel so good when I'm doing this. But, to trudge through an hour on the treadmill, I mean, to me, that just sounds terrible. There's just no way I could do that. But somebody else might say, I watch a show or I read a book while I'm on that, and it's pleasant for them,
It's true. Like I was talking to a friend just last night, and she said, I love to run. Like running does so much for me, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm only going to run if a bear is chasing me, if I have to run. But for her, it's very much what feeds her soul to get out and run every day. And then I think, I've been able to stick to some exercise this past year because I found things I love to do.
Yeah.
And so I look forward to it, and it gets my body moving, it gets my blood circulating, but I enjoy it. But when I was like forcing myself to do some of the things I hated, I can find every excuse in the book not to do it.
Yeah.
So we have to look forward to the things we're trying to build habit in. And there's so many ways to move our bodies, and we can find something that we love to do and do it.
Our bodies are made and meant for movement. And when you don't get enough movement, if you're at a job and you're sitting all day, it makes it even more important to get up, do something. If your job is really busy and you're carrying packages or babies or, you're busy and moving all the time is different than if you have a desk job.
And it's true. And then maybe the habit needs to be, I need to find time to sit.
Absolutely.
I need to find time to unwind a little bit because I am a go, go, go person. So it's the balance in all things that we want to create our habits around. In thinking of starting something new, you have to start slow, start small, and build up, but really finding those things that you love to do.
Yeah, so just between, creating a habit by tagging it to another habit, that can be really helpful for people. Starting slow, always, recreate those neural pathways. And it can just change everything so much.
And even thinking about another lifestyle factor that we want to encourage people to make is learning to cook. We really can't be healthy in this day and age without learning to cook our own food and be in charge of what goes into the food that we eat. And that can be overwhelming for a lot of people to learn how to cook. So again, start small. Learn how to cook a new vegetable. Learn how to cook something new. Maybe just start with meal planning one meal that you're going to either make with your family or and then turn on some music. Learn to enjoy the process of making your food is another, instead of looking at it as a drudgery thing, something that I have to do. I have to think of one more thing to make.
One thing that I have liked to mention and recommend for people who don't cook is to do one of the meal delivery services. Do Hungry Root or HelloFresh or Blue Apron. There are just a number of them. You can pick out what foods you like, so that when you get your menu, it's going to be to your taste, but you can try a lot of different things. They've got Thai menus, Mediterranean menus, Mexican food menus, Italian. They have so many different things to choose from that then everything comes to you. So then it takes the shopping part away, because that's a whole thing. Is what do I eat? How do I shop? And so if you can start with everything you need is delivered to you, you just have to put it together and cook it. It takes that step out, you ease into that, and then pretty soon you understand ingredients and what recipes you're looking for, and then how to shop for it.
Because they have step-by-step instructions on how to make it. So that's a great idea for people that are starting or even just overwhelmed with the whole process. Know how to cook, but it's still overwhelming.
There are so many resources these days. Just get online for any meal plans. Sometimes you buy them, which is fine. Buy some recipes that somebody else has put together, and then pick out the 3 you want to make first and then go for it.
So maybe we just need to encourage our listeners to see what they're going to pick today for this month, something that they want to change to move them to that more vibrant life, vibrant living that they're looking for.
Yeah, in any of those areas that we've talked about today, is choose one.
So maybe the next thing we could talk about is how to reward ourselves when we keep our habit. Because I feel like that's how habits stick. The brain likes to we like to know that we're making progress, that we're actually doing something. And so what are some of the best ways you've found that keep you going?
I really like the idea of having some accountability. So if you have an exercise partner, you're both going to meet at the gym, or you're both going to go for a walk, and then it's actually enjoyable if especially if you're extroverted and you love that social aspect of that, having a buddy, finding somebody who you can talk about meal plans with, or do your exercise like I mentioned, or just have these conversations about food and hormones. It's very nice to have a friend, a sister, just somebody to do that.
And I found when I'm working with somebody is I tell them to write down what their goal is or what their end goal is, that the habits that are going to help them get to that end goal, write it down, and then to get a little bit more vulnerable and share it with somebody. Because writing it down does one thing for the brain, but then admitting it and talking about what your goal actually is with someone, oftentimes it needs to be somebody that you trust, and then we'll help with that accountability piece, that maybe they check in with you every once in a while and say, how's that going? Sometimes when things aren't really going well and we can't seem to get a habit to stick, we need to really ask ourselves, some questions about it. Why is this so hard for me? And maybe that is when it's good to talk to somebody about it, because they could say, you know what, maybe you should try it this way instead. And because we really want to be successful. When we keep failing at something, that's when we give up. So, failing just means we need to try again. Maybe look at it in a new light. Maybe it's like that exercise really isn't for me, or making dinner at 5 o'clock doesn't work. I need to make dinner at 6 instead. And so it's like refiguring it so it does work out for you.
Yeah, I'll talk about barriers, those barriers to success. And sometimes it's a mindset that really just takes practice to move through. And that's okay. It's okay. I say don't strive for perfection. I mean, perfection is a little more OCD, with your diet. I'll do the 80-20 rule or the 90-10 rule based on, how sick people are. If you're really pretty healthy, you can eat really good, your whole food, non-processed food, 80% of the time. And then you've got that little 20% where at Thanksgiving you have a piece of pie, on your birthday you have a piece of cake, but you're not eating cake every day, that. So that's, if you say I'm not going to eat any sugar, like every January for the past 25 years, I've done a no sugar January. So I'll still have some fruit. I'll still have some things that are sweet, but there's absolutely, after the holidays, no desserts. I don't do maple syrup, a little honey I'll still do, and you can be as strict as you want in that. But there is something empowering about being able to do that. For some people, it's fasting. But there is it. Sometimes just doing it is its own reward.
It's true. And it's empowering to think, I went 30 days and didn't have any sugar. Can be very empowering.
Well, because it's hard. I talk to my grandkids about that. I'm like, let's do no sugar January. Not one of them. They don't even want to do a 2 weeks without sugar because it's hard. It's hard. But sugar's terrible. So, that would be one of my first things is if you eat a lot of sugar, lower it. And one of the barriers could be if it's in the home. If you're buying it for your family or you're buying it because that's your craving, don't.
Yeah.
Don't buy it. Yeah. If your spouse or partner, if that's what they need, they can buy it. They can hide it, somewhere. And then you don't have that temptation because sometimes it is a barrier. The whole idea of willpower, it's difficult. And so finding those barriers, if you stop and get a fancy soda, on your way home from work because it's right on your way home from work, take a different route. So remove those barriers.
Yeah, because that's creating a different habit.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, we don't want to say start small and easy. Start small even if it's hard. Because it's really worth pushing yourself to do something hard. Yeah. So let's wrap this up. Get a buddy and make a new habit. Just one new habit for this coming month. Let us know how you're doing in the comments, what your habit is. We'd love to hear from you. Like and subscribe and keep living on purpose.